proof that black and white can work together as long as we get paid.
My God, man. Do you know what this means? This skitter's gonna be turned upside down, I tell you, upside down. If you get on his bad side, brother, you're done for. Now, it's only a matter of time before he finds out, and when he does, no matter where he is, get ready, gentlemen, because hell's a-coming, hell's a-coming, hell's a-coming, hell's a-coming, hell's a-coming.
It's a tough mission, but I think you're ready.
If we're going to save the colonies, we're going to need top Gundam pilots. Transforming Wing Gundam is the most powerful Gundam in the galaxy. But before you can unleash its full potential, you have to transform it from mobile suit mode to bird mode. That's why we need pilots with an ability to take on Gundam mechanics. To beat the best, you have to be the best.
Hey, this is Stephanie Shea, and you're listening to Gundam at MAHQ.
Open. Damn it, open! Prime, you said the Matrix would light our darkest hour. Magnus! I want the Matrix! Never!
Alright everybody, welcome back to Gundam at MAHQ. This is one of your hosts, Neo, and joining me always is the Soul Bro and the Chris. Guys, say hello.
What's up everybody?
Hello.
What's happening?
Yo.
There you go.
You can tell I've been watching those A&E WWE, like the behind the biography ones.
Oh, you've been watching those? Oh, shit.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Nice.
Yeah, I watched was the Rivals one, the first Rival ones, this past Sunday where it was Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan. Like, oh man, hell yeah, yeah. And then what was it? The biography one was NWO, which is still like the greatest, one of the greatest things, but they completely screwed it up.
Yeah, they did. That fell apart, boy, so hard. Unfortunately, man. Unfortunately.
Basically, it's interesting how things work out. But thank you everybody for joining us. This is episode 270. Oh man, 270. That's a lot of episodes. I guess with probably all our specials, so bro, it's got to be over 300 at this point, right?
Yeah,
so
we're definitely well over 300 at this point.
Wow. So, of those, how many have been posted up on the audio episodes?
Oh, well,
coming out with fire.
Oh boy.
Fire.
Off the rip.
Well, the people ask. The people want to know.
The people want to know. Yes.
I am the people's champion.
Oh, you are, huh?
If this is
are you the people's vessel?
I am the people's vessel. I'm the people's champion on this. Yeah. So, no. Any updates on that, Soul Bro? Yeah, not to call you out.
You're more of a Luthen Rael.
Any updates on that as I As
you saunter over? Not yet. I will get some updates soon. I do want to get a bunch of them up and done because there's a big value to having audio episodes up, and I want to get those done.
Think so.
So, if anything, it won't be this weekend because I have things to do, and I'm gonna go catch Ant-Man finally. I wanted to see it last weekend, but obligations stopped that from happening. So, but next weekend I do have clear, and finally don't have to babysit a kid. So, yay!
Well, you know what, so bro, you could always adopt a thing of like just doing one episode a day.
Yeah.
Maybe make that your goal. I wonder how that will work out.
That makes sense. It's just I have to come into this office and get it done. Once I finish all the other things I have to do, but I need to set aside time and do it, and I'll keep you guys updated because I do want it done. I want it finished. If anything, there's someone who reached out to me that I need to reach back to see if they can help me with the workload, and I have to give them a package of things to do. So let me get back to you guys on that. I just
you have a minion,
a possible minion. Let's not get the hopes up too high, but a possible one, and I'll keep you guys on that. Although I feel bad asking for someone to do that and not paying them, so we'll see what happens. I might be able to actually give them something as well.
We'll pay them in Soulbro respect. Pay them in pizza dollars.
Soulbro, in Soulbro guarantees.
It's
Soulbro guarantees. Yeah,
nice.
Exactly.
Nice. Let's see if we can get that monetized. But welcome everybody. If you like tonight's show, head on over.
Don't worry about that, Soulbro. I mean, there's a whole industry called crypto that's based on things that people just assign a value on it that really has no value. It's like
maybe I could be the next.
It's worth a lot. Are you sure?
I could be the next Sam Bankman-Fried.
Coin.
Soulbro coin. Yo, that's what people get when they make my model kits. Yes.
Well, I mean, your acronym's close to his. He's SPF and you're SBR.
I know, right?
You just have to change one letter. I mean, come on.
Dangerously close, man. Maybe too close for comfort. Yo.
Yeah, you don't want to be that because I heard he had new charges levied against him today.
They're gonna drop they're gonna drop the damn fucking stock exchange on him.
I don't know about that. I think that's one of those things that's. It depends. It depends who really got hurt on this. Like, I think there's more people complicit in the grift than actually got hurt by the grift. So I think he might be more Elizabeth Holmes as opposed to Bernie Madoff. Like, her grift. A lot of other people that were very important benefited off that grift, as opposed to Bernie Madoff, where a lot of people just got screwed by that grift. So. I don't know.
Yes, indeed.
So, Chris, how are you? How's the conversion for MAHQ going? Is it done yet? I mean, come on. It's got to be done now, right?
Well, funny thing about that, so for those who are listening to the live stream, I can report to you that for the next episode, it will be done.
Wow.
That's crazy, man.
Wow.
Good shit. Man,
that's
nice.
a shocker. That's a shocker.
That's what's up, man. He's been working steadily on it for the last couple of years, man. It's definitely time well spent, man. Look at this guy, man. Good shit. Industrious. Man.
I'm sure it's because Chris adopts the thing of a little bit each day.
Yeah.
As to,
absolutely.
Trying to eat the whole thing in one sitting. So.
Indeed.
This is a teachable moment for you, Soul.
Oh boy. Oh Jesus.
Teachable moments. There you go. But guys, anything as I saunter over to the actually we'll be talking about some Gundam manga in this one. We'll be doing Gundam X Under the Moonlight, the 4 volumes on that. And then the next one we'll be doing is Gundam UC Episode Zero. What was the subtitle on that one?
Bande Destiny Episode Zero.
Bande Destiny Episode Zero. There you go. So we'll be talking about the 3 volumes of that. So yeah, back to some Gundam manga. Kind of a renewed focus of us. I think we did some a couple episodes ago. So yeah, definitely some good stuff there. Enhances the Gundam universe. So guys, anything as I saunter over? I'm still sauntering over. kind of been thing? Anything?
I just encourage people to, if you like what you see here tonight, please hit the subscribe button and the follow button, and the thumbs up button if you can, and also make sure to visit mahq.net, man, where updates are happening often, and the as you heard, the transition to a new age is almost with us. It's almost here, but the majority of the site has been converted, so you can navigate it comfortably through your mobile phone and through most platforms. So definitely go over there, hit the favorites button, and check often, and especially all the works that people are contributing to the site as well. I know Yazi, who's in the chat, is one of the contributors as well. Definitely check it out, and let us know what you think, man. And thank you guys for doing so. Back to you, sir.
Chris, any weirdos in your house today? The Dennis or Emperor Palpatine? Any of these weirdos? The ghost of John McCain in his bus? I don't know. I mean,
it seems free and clear.
Pretty
today.
quiet. Yeah. Okay.
The ghost
seems
of
pretty
John
quiet.
McClane.
John McCain, not John McClane.
Oh, sorry, John. Sorry. I can't believe the slip of the tongue. My bad.
One is a real person
Yes.
who fought a lot of people, and the other one's a fake person that fought a lot of people. And I guess shout outs. I guess I saw that horrible news. I guess Bruce Willis is literally losing his mind.
Yeah.
So that's sad to hear. I mean,
very much so. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there won't be Die Hard. What was the last one he did? 5? How many did he do?
5. Yeah, the 5th one.
Yeah. So no Die Hard 6. Unless it's just you know where are my keys? Die Hard.
Oh Jesus.
Sorry, too soon. So, all right. So yes, I will do some Neo's listener submitted news, and if you ever have any news, always submit them to the Neo's listener submitted news articles thread in the Gundam section of the Mecha Talk forum. And our new first poster, he's been bringing it, MCT Dread. And coming up here, got a link to Crunchyroll. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but there is a new teaser visual for Mobile Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury, or, subtitle. Actually, what you guys would have to view in Florida, it's probably changed. It's called Woke Gundam, right? I mean, it's you when it comes over to when it goes to the internet in Florida, it goes to Woke Gundam instead of The Witch from Mercury.
Does it really?
That's correct. That's exactly what happens.
That's what happens. Oh,
because Governor Shoelifts is going to sit there and say that. So yeah, he's at Shoes Lifts. I saw that picture with him and Tiger Woods today. Tiger Woods is like 6'1".
Wow! Seriously,
that dude's only 5'9". Yeah,
Oof.
it's hilarious. But I digress. But yes, this is coming from Crunchyroll.com. I guess they got a quick new teaser trailer for season 2 that's going to be coming out in April of this year. So either one of you guys take a look at. I haven't looked at it yet.
I haven't seen it.
Kind of saw it. I have seen it in my YouTube stuff, but I just hadn't looked at it. So, Chris, he's taking a look at it. Is it making you more woke, or? There you go. So, none of us have seen it, so yeah, everybody enjoy. MCT Dread comes back with. Looks like the 0083 Rebellion manga is going to end in volume 18. So, I'm not familiar with this manga. Chris, are you familiar with it? I know Silver's not.
I read a good amount of it. You can hear Yahtzee sing its praises anywhere. But it's a revamped take on 0083 that makes everything better.
This is. Okay, yes. That because I've seen this on the interwebs. Yeah, this is the one where everybody's like, "Oh, Nito Purpleton's not that bad." Yeah, okay.
Look, believe it or not, it's actually true.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, anything's a step up from what we saw on there. Okay, cool. Okay, yeah. And this comes from the Anime News Network. Says it revisits Mobile Suit Gundam 0083 Stardust Memory OVA series, adding backstory and extra scenes to the anime storyline. It was launched in 2013 in Kadokawa's Gundam Ace magazine. And yeah, it's going to end later on this year. Looks like the 17th volume came in February of 22, and it's going to be... Wow. Okay. There you go.
That's cool, man. It's
Yeah,
been
it's
running
been
for quite some
coming
time.
through,
I've gotten a few
Yeah.
conversations with Yazi and the gang about it, so I'm glad to see it's actually coming to a close, and that means we get to read it once it closes up and review it for the show. So that's awesome, man. I certainly hope.
I do have to ask this, Chris.
Yes.
Does Ko like carrots? Is he still hating carrots in this one, or did they revamp that too? Or now he loves carrots? He's like Steve Jobs at one point, just eating carrots all the time, or it turns them orange.
No commento.
Nope.
Oh, no commento. Well, he's keeping the secret alive there. But MC Trade Judge comes back. Oh man, he said this is specifically for Solbro. This is for you, Solbro.
Mm-hmm.
It says a Gundam Mobile Suit Extreme Versus 2 Overboost has been announced. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's for you. It's
did.
been announced. Solbro.
That is the right at the end of last episode. The trailer had dropped. I didn't play it because I was afraid of what might do for the channel, but I did show the title screen for it, and yeah, apparently, and the stream can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that
they will.
Witch from Mercury is in it, although they didn't show it in the trailer, but I believe they showed at least the aerial in the trailer.
It says here from Game Rant, it says that it's been a long-running 2 versus 2 arena fighting style series, one of the most popular arcade games in Asia. It's the most recent Mobile Suit Gundam Extreme Versus Maxi Boost ON that was released on the PlayStation consoles in 2020. Yeah, I don't know if this article's really going anything about what's in it yet. It's just more that's been announced.
If you look at
talks about
if you look at the poster at the very top, you'll see the aerial off into the upper left of the actual poster. So,
okay.
Yeah, she's definitely in it, and it's cool, man. It's arcades.
I see. Hiro Yui's in it.
Oh yeah, man. Always.
I guess he's gonna kill Relina in this one. Hopefully.
Indeed. Hopefully, he'll finally achieve his goal. But
shut that girl up.
Being that this is coming on arcades, we'll probably see it in 5-7 years. So on consoles, we'll see. But PlayStation 7, we'll see it there.
PlayStation 7.
PlayStation 7, man. Book it now.
This will be one of the last releases of PlayStation 5. You know that's gonna be.
If we're lucky, if we're fucking lucky, we'll see it on the PS5. I'm not holding out hope though. Yeah. We'll see it. There's some skullduggery going on in the emulation scene though, and that's all I'll say. But I probably won't mess with that because I don't want to get legally pursued by certain parties. But yeah, there's some things happening. Probably in regards to this game as well. But it's cool. Another update's coming out. This keeps arcades alive in Japan, so I can't knock it too hard. And the reason why we don't get to see it on consoles is because there has to be something to bring people out to these arcades.
Are they having a hard time with arcades in Japan? Because I feel like it's a whole different environment than here.
The pandemic definitely did damage. It did a lot of damage. Matter of fact, Sega sold off several of theirs, and then Namco Bandai bought a major one of the arcades they sold in Akihabara and just recently reopened it. So some institutions have closed down. Some of them momentarily, some of them permanently, because of what the pandemic was. They're already teetering on the edge, but the pandemic kind of just pushed them over. So
well, that's why I enjoy my playthrough right now of Yakuza 0, because arcades will always live there.
Always.
So always live there. It's 1985. Because come on, what are you talking about?
There you go.
But Chris, anything with the Mobile Suit Gundam Extreme Versus 2 Overboost?
It's fucking extreme.
Yes.
It's the second one, and I think they're taking the boost over to the point that you would think, right? You know,
over.
You're right.
Way over.
And always remember the hashtag kill SBR
indeed,
when you play these games. Yes. Yeah, so thank you, MC Drive, for that. Oh, Yazi 88. Yeah, this post, man. This one hurt. This come a couple days ago. Talking about the passing of Leiji Matsumoto, which, I mean, come on. We all know. I would think everybody knows who he is. Responsible for Galaxy Railways, Captain Harlock, Queen Esmeralda. I mean, just a very distinct style in just the stories and the characters.
Space Battleship Yamato, man.
Space Battleship Yamato too. I mean, what has always been the thing that lured me to the anime scene was just that look. I just always loved the way his characters were there, and yeah, he passed away at 85. I mean, it's sad, but you gotta sit there and say 85 is pretty good. And I mean, this man has brought so much enjoyment to so many people. And yeah, I mean, he passed away at February 13th at a Tokyo hospital due to acute heart failure. So, but yeah, I mean, it's you know, it says here Crunchyroll.com. He watched many American cartoons and comics through his father, who was a test pilot for the American Imperial Army as he moved around during the war, because I guess he was a child and a teenager during World War II. You know, and that kind of helped him in what he was doing. He channeled his interest in cartoons, science fiction by forming a manga group in elementary school. I mean, he moved in Tokyo in 1953. Oh my gosh, can you imagine what Tokyo looked like in 1953? Probably not a lot there. To do a career in manga at age 18.
Reconstruction probably was still going on at the time too, so
Reconstruction happened all the way to the 1990s.
Yeah.
So yeah, people forget about that. Like World War II in the United States, like stopped in 1945 because nothing got blown up here, but in Europe and Asia, it was going on for another 30, 40 years. So, yeah, I mean, he's known for, like you said, Yamato, Captain Harlock, Galaxy Express, Queen Esmeralda. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Probably Mount Rushmore of anime, right? You guys have to say that? I mean...
Yeah, I would say so. He's super influential. A lot of his work, really, you can see in a
unique.
lot of you can see a lot of people paid homage to his work in there. So hell, starting with Macross, the way the uniforms looked in Macross, you know, was a big nod to
Gundam too.
Yeah, Gundam as well. He was just beloved by a lot of people, and had a fan base that endured and enjoyed his work. For me, my favorite thing that he ever had a part in was Interstellar 5555. Man, I love that. It's the greatest. We always call it the greatest AMV ever made. Of course, it was him collaborating with Daft Punk back when they were still together, and we used to have a tradition of watching it every year. We went to AFO. We'd always pop it on somewhere during that weekend just to chill and watch and talk, man. And we got a lot of great memories watching that. I didn't really come up with Star Blazers. I know that was in some markets, but it wasn't in mine, so I didn't really get to see it when I was growing up. But I've heard a lot of great stuff about the most recent adaptations of Yamato, and Yazi was kindly enough to give me some on digital codes a couple years ago for Funimation.com. So I need to finally sit down and check that out. But yeah, he's definitely a legend of his time, and lived a long life, man, and a life that many will remember because of the work he contributed. So shout out to Leiji Matsumoto, man, one of the best to ever do it.
Chris, anything?
Nothing to add other than, you know, man was a legend, and his impact will be felt probably even after we're gone.
Pretty much.
I would say so. Yeah.
I've always just, with his artwork and the characters and the world that he always created, I just love the futuristic yet such retro look of it. Like Captain Harlock's one, like the world, like the year 3000, something like that, 29 something, whatever. But they still have like dials and switches on the Arcadia. I mean, that was just the really cool thing about it. And it's funny that you bring up Interstellar 555 because unfortunately, all the douchebags on the interwebs are sitting there saying, "Oh, people that are bringing that up, they're disrespecting him and all this other stuff." It's like, why? I mean, if that's what people were in because a lot of people, that's where they were introduced to what this man did, and it's like, they weren't.
You're a fan of the wrong thing. You have to like the things the way that I like them.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Like I saw it this. It's like, no, that's wrong. Like, that's completely wrong. Like, if that's what got you in, okay, I get it. I think he had like a consulting type of thing. He wasn't directly doing all the direction and all the other stuff in it, but it's like he was part of it. So, and everything is his aesthetic. So if that what brought you in, that brought you into the other things, like, that's just stupid. And that's why, when I become king of the internet, I will get rid of these people.
I don't know if you want that title.
No, I want king of the internet.
I am king of the internet. Bow to me.
Yes.
Yes.
I want to bow to me.
Bow
off with their heads.
To me.
Off with their heads.
You're the queen of hearts.
Off with their heads. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a sad passing. But I mean, for all the enjoyment that he gave us and the fact that the man lived a long, fruitful life, I mean, and now he's basically on the Mount Rushmore of anime. I mean, honestly, I guess that goes into a quick thing before I go to the next article. Is like, who is on the Mount Rushmore of anime? What would you guys think would be the Mount Rushmore? Chris, what's your Mount Rushmore of anime? 4 people.
Matsumoto, Tamino, Tezuka, and
that's a tough one, right? The last one.
It really is. This is a hard one to get nailed down.
Yeah.
There's so many that you could put there.
Yeah.
Like Miyazaki.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miyazaki has to be there. There's no question.
Bro,
for me,
what about you?
Number 1 and 2 are Tezuka and Miyazaki. No question. They can't buzz those two. They gotta be there. Then it starts to get real dicey for the last 2 because there's so many people. You could say Tomino because he was impactful. He got the super robot genre off the ground. But I would put
a real robot.
Real robot, absolutely. So I would put Tomino on my personal top 4. So that leaves 1. I don't want to go all science fiction or robot. Man, so this is where
it's tough, right?
I as a personal thing, I would go with Rumiko Takahashi. She has done a lot of slice of life stuff that I've really enjoyed throughout the years, and a lot of zany stuff. And she has a fun way of mixing science fiction with comedy. So I am throwing a little science fiction there, I guess. But yeah, I would go with Takahashi at the end, even though she's a mangaka. A lot of her work has been adapted, so I definitely give her one.
That's fine. Yeah, I mean, Tezuka, Matsumoto, Tomino, and yeah, that 4th spot is just it's so tough. And I mean, if just for the sake of it, probably have to give it to Miyazaki just because of his global influence. I mean, you think like all the other ones just in the art form, they really made, and I mean, Miyazaki did it too, but the fact that he just made it more globally appealing. So
I mean, my substitute for Takahashi, if I had to go with someone else, would be the late Satoshi Kon, because he had several very memorable movies, and he had a very unique vision, and he worked on the day-to-day for a lot of animes leading up to his own directorial work as well. So yeah, I've got to say Satoshi Kon. I'd throw up there if it wasn't for Rumiko Takahashi being there. But yeah, good stuff, man. That was a great question, buddy. Good stuff. I see.
Yeah, I'm on it tonight, man. I'm on it tonight. Well, I mean, I guess I was very surprised that none of us said the person that provided us with MD Geist and MD Geist 2: Death Force.
Word. John.
Hey, I'm sure there's a person out there that would be their first on their Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, and there's one specific, and we know who that is.
Mm-hmm. Built a whole company around it. So, hey, what you gonna do?
As you
do. Oh man. Yeah.
Hilarious.
Next one here comes from MCT Dread. The life-size moving Gundam to stay on display till March 2024. I think we've heard that before, so that's a good
that's
one
new
here.
News.
Oh, is that new news?
It's new?
Yes, because it had already been extended before because of COVID, and now it's been extended yet again.
Oh yeah, okay. Shit. Thank you, J. Jonah Jameson, for getting that.
Where's those pictures of Spider-Man?
I'm sorry. I'm gonna get them to you. I mean,
pay to take photos, Parker, not Gab. They're in my office.
My guys out there. Oh, but yes, okay. That's weird because I'm like, oh yeah, I remember it getting extended, but okay, this is new news. Yes, it was announced that the life-size moving Gundam RX-78-2 is going to remain open until March 31st of 2024. So,
by the way, on that note, you should check out on MAHQ's video channel Dale's recent video of the museum there, and also the little show that the Gundam itself does.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's so cool, man. Yeah, if you guys don't know, I guess the guys watching live definitely know, but on this very channel on YouTube, it's youtube.com/Gundam MAHQ. You can go there and check out those videos of Dale's visit to the to that location, so you guys can enjoy vicariously through those videos, man. They're really cool, man. Shout out to Chris and Dale for getting those uploaded.
Which will be completely different if I ever visit Japan. It'll be me, and I'll bring my dog there with me because I want to see what she does. But then my whole thing will be in the toilet store. That giant toilet store of all the Star Trek toilets. Yes, that's mine. I'm sorry. I mean,
Indeed.
Gundams. Everybody's seen that life-size Gundam at this point. We need to see these toilets.
Life-size toilet.
Yes.
Well, maybe they have the Club Clam special in there. You never know. So. Oh man. So, Yazzie88 comes back here. It looks like he's got a thing that looks like UFO Robot Grendizer, the Feast of Wolves gameplay revealed is going to reveal a trailer and some screenshots.
Oh, shit.
So, yeah, it looks like publisher Microids and developer Enroad have released the gameplay reveal trailer and screenshots for UFO Robot Grendizer, the Feast of Wolves, the upcoming action game based on Go Nagagi's 1975 launched manga series.
Uncle Go? Oh man, Uncle Go.
Uncle Go. He's still alive, right?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe he's still. Let me look it up. I want to say he is because when he passes away, that's gonna be a rough one. It's gonna be a rough one, man. But yeah, I believe he's still with us, man. And according to Wikipedia,
he could be part of the. He could be the fourth spot on the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. When it comes to Manga Ka, you might be right. Age 77, man. He's 77 years old right now. Yeah, he's still with us.
Oh shit!
Uncle
he's
Go.
He's a youngin, dude. He's a youngin.
Good shit.
That's a youngin. He doesn't smoke, does he? It seems like
Probably.
Probably.
It's from that era. It's from that era.
Well, actually, it seems like all the voice actors smoke. Like,
oh yeah.
The funniest thing. It's like they're all gonna die. But so MC Dread comes back.
Oh shit.
Some Crunchyroll.com news. Mobile Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury, or what would be in Florida, the Woke Gundam. Novel, the first volume gets a second reprint before release. So I guess the first volume gets a second reprint. So all those that didn't get it are going to be able to get it. It looks like the official release date is February 25th, so next week sometime. So there you go.
Yeah, nice. Look at that. It's a pretty cool cover too. I dig it.
Yeah, definitely is. But guys, any news of your own, or I'm gonna close this out?
Well, Yahtzee has some news that he wanted you to
Oh, really?
talk about.
How the hell did I get to this website? Sorry. Let's go over to the YouTube chat. I'm like, how the hell did I get to that website? It wasn't anything bad. It was just the Boeing flight. It's what my girl, what she's working on, like the press release on that. I'm like, how the hell did I get on that? Okay, what's he asking? Where's the Aussie? What's up, man?
The news item about Vulcan.
Oh shit. Okay.
Oh, I guess you got to refresh. I guess you got.
All right, I'll just say what it is, and then you can.
Oh, I think I skipped it. Sorry. Yeah.
How dare you? So
Assault Suits Vulcan Declassified is coming out on the Nintendo Switch this spring. Part of the original port of the Assault Suits Vulcan from the Super Famicom, originally localized as the Cybernator on the SES.
Cybernator, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the best SNES games.
Yep. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And with an amazing soundtrack and some great mecha action, and not only that, but it's being ported by M2, who are the best emulation guys in the business. And
sorry about that, Yazzie.
Very happy to see Vulcan come out. This is part of the same series as Assault Suit Lanos, which had a good remake way back in the PS4 era. So nice to see this series get a little bit of exposure after so long.
Yeah, it's nice to see it find new life on a new platform. So that's really cool. Calling the Switch new. It's pretty funny, but it's nice to see a company bring new life into this. I remember when you brought up Cybernator to us years and years ago. I remember hearing about it vaguely, but I didn't realize how significant it was. And then I got to play it. I think it was on one of show streams. He loaded it up, and we ended up playing it for a little bit, and it was like, man, this is damn good. This is really good, man.
The game is no joke.
Woo!
I would also recommend, not related, but commonly confused to be related, Metal Warriors on the Super NES.
Yeah.
Which people confuse as being a sequel to Cybernator because it has the same aesthetic, and I believe was also published in America by Konami, but actually was developed by LucasArts.
Oh, I remember hearing about that too. Wow, that's super cool. Man.
Oh, Konami.
Yeah, check out that game on the Methods Network because you ain't gonna find Metal Warriors on the Switch Online app.
Sure aren't, man.
Yeah.
Probably never. But man, I have a bit of news to share. I'm amazed no one actually submitted this, because
but before you do that, I just want to let Fred know. I know we said Dale. It's not that Dale.
Oh, yo, praise Dale.
It's Chris's Dale. not the star in the sky, dude.
Not the star. Not the Intimidator. Oh no.
Oh man.
Hey.
Well, I don't know. Dale is kind of intimidating.
Hey man, I'm sure he can intimidate.
He's not to the point as the Intimidator. So.
Indeed.
Okay.
Go ahead, Solberg.
All right then. Yes. It looks like finally, after years of waiting, Netflix dropped a sneak preview of the anime adaptation of Pluto by Naoki Urasawa, and it's an adaptation of an arc from Astro Boy called it's The World's Greatest. And of course, Tezuka did Astro Boy way back in the 60s. But yeah, it's going to be coming out hopefully soon. Funnily enough, this actual sneak peek, at least part of it, was shown at an industry show back in 2019, but really only the part where the bugs were coming out of the cyborg's mouth. That one section of the video. So, but there's been more that I guess has been made since, and since Netflix did show it off, it looks really good. I'm quite I'm chuffed that this is actually coming out because it's an 8-volume manga. So the series is probably not going to run very long. Maybe it'll be, I don't know, 5-6 episodes at best. Maybe it'll be 8 episodes, maybe an episode per volume. But if you guys have never seen Pluto or read the manga, I highly recommend it to you guys. It's a short read, but it's a cyberpunk take on Astro Boy. Astro Boy is not the main character. It's a detective, which is one of the 8 strongest robots in the world. He's trying to solve the murder of the greatest robot in the world. That robot is killed at the very beginning, and is a conspiracy that unfolds throughout the rest of the book, the rest of the series. And it's just cool because Astro Boy shows up in it as a supporting character. Tobio, he helps the detective get closer to who's responsible for killing all the killing of the different robots, and it's fantastic, especially if you love cyberpunk. This is where you definitely want to check out, and I can't wait for it to drop. More to come, I guess, on when the release date will be, but it's supposed to be later on this year, according to the article. So we'll see.
Well, I'll give you the spoiler. The killing of the robots would be me.
Oh, it would be you?
That would be, yeah, it would be me. Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, the funny thing is, I want to go to ChatGPT. You know, you've heard about this. That AI that everybody's going to.
Oh yeah, where people have.
And I actually want to ask them the question that is on my mind is like, when will the robot apocalypse begin, and how will it begin? I want to see what it says.
It's not going to tell you the truth.
Machine is going to lie to you.
You think it'll lie? Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I think it's going to say, we would never do that. We love the humans. It's like, ugh.
Oh, man.
So, yeah. So.
The only other thing I would bring up is the 22nd of February was the 41st anniversary of the new Anime Century Declaration that happened in 1981. According to Matt Alt over here on Facebook, it was originally intended as a promo for the upcoming Mobile Suit Gundam film. It was held in front of Shinjuku Station. They expected a few hundred kids, but 20,000 people showed up instead. And Tomino took the stage. The police were warning that the crowd had grown too large to control. There were other luminaries there that would become like major creators in the field, like Mamoru Nagano was there. There's several bits of cosplay going on right here. There's a young Tomino, I believe. Look at this guy. Look at his double-breasted. I see you, buddy. Good
got
shit.
Hair?
Yeah, got hair.
He got hair?
81, baby. He's lamping.
Oh shit! Yeah, 81. He's got hair. He's still rocking it. Yeah.
Got Garma and Iselina right here. Yo, let's go. Yo, the 80s were cooking, man. But a really big deal in Gundam fandom, man. This is like the big rebound for Gundam. So really cool that the anniversary was yesterday. So props to everybody who recognized that. And man, good stuff. That's all the news I got.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for. If you ever have any news articles, you can always submit them to the news listeners or news articles thread in the Gundam section of the Mecha Talk forum. And thank you everybody for that. And thank you Soulbro and Chris for your additions there. You always enhance the news. Yes, you do. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes. So guys, what do you think? We have 2 mangas here. What's the first one we want to talk about here?
Do we go with
the Unicorn first?
Yeah, because
want to do Unicorn first. Okay, so Chris, why don't you give us a quick synopsis of Unicorn there? And do you have these reviews on MAHQ.net? I was wondering if we have that there too.
We do not.
Oh shit!
Yeah, been too busy doing the conversions to do reviews. So.
There you go.
You should be able to do more, Chris.
I'll just quit my job.
There you go.
Just quit your job.
It's that easy.
Move in with your parents and just do this in your basement. Well, yeah, you don't have basements there, but what are you going to do?
Forget financial obligations. Who needs them?
Yeah, who cares?
So, Unicorn, Bande Dessinée Episode Zero is a 3-volume manga that was written by Harutoshi Fukui, who wrote the Unicorn novels that obviously got turned into the anime. So it's a prequel set in UC 0094, and it details the Gradels and Unkai incident that's mentioned in some other materials, which is how Full Frontal stole the Sinanju Stein and then Zeoned it up into the Sinanju that we know and love from the OVA. So the story begins in the present, in the aftermath of this battle, and we find out that over 400 people were killed in this Neo-Zeon attack between the crews of these two Federation ships. The story then jumps back before that a couple of months, and meet some people at a Federation base, I think in Delaware, that gets attacked by Zeon remnants, and there's a bunch of civilian casualties. Some of those casualties were the wife and son of a Federation intelligence operative named Carlos Craig, who, in his desire for vengeance, puts together a team of other Federation pilots, soldiers who similarly have experienced loss, and they plan to put a stop to a dirty plan between Anaheim and certain Federation officers to allow Neo-Zeon to steal the Sinanju Stein. So Anaheim's interest in this is that, Char's rebellion came and went, and there's no war going on, which means profits are down. We gotta do something about that and make sure that there's
what
conflict.
Rule of acquisition was that?
That's war is good for business.
There were two of them. War is good for business. War is bad.
Peace is good for business.
Yeah, peace.
So they decide that war is good for business, is more good for business, and they arrange this whole conspiracy to transport Sinanju, but make it so that it's easy pickings for Neo-Zeon to steal. So Carlos uncovers this plot, and he loops in the mobile suit commander of the battleship Unkai, which is where the Sinanju containers are stored, and this guy has also experienced loss, so he and his dudes, they're all on board, and they sneak Carlos aboard the ship, and they make their move because the plan is that the Unkai's Jeggins will do a system update that has a virus in it, and then while they're rebooting, that's when Neo-Zeon attacks and steals the containers. So these guys make sure that their Jeggins don't do the update, and Carlos announces to the crew of, hey, we're under attack from Neo-Zeon, and, the commanding officers on the bridge are doing nothing because they're part of this conspiracy, and you need to fight against the Neo-Zeon and not listen to your commanding officers. And these commanding officers, they're not happy about it, and they are trying to do everything possible to get their crew to not fight. And it doesn't go well because Full Frontal does his, thing, but even within the limitations of a Gyaradoga, he still whoops everybody's asses. Mm-hmm. Then he gets the Sinanju, whoops even more ass, and then just as Neo-Zeon is retreating in victory with their stolen goods, decides to make an example and comes back and destroys both battleships himself.
Yeah.
With ease.
And with ease, yes. And thus ends the story of how he got his upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
Back to you, Neo.
So, bro, your thoughts?
Well, out of the two, I actually enjoyed this one more. Out of the two stories, it's. I don't think it was a necessary story to tell, but it was cool to get a little insight on Carlos's character and the backstory with what he did for the government for the most part. He was a guy that got rid of problems.
Well, it's good to see that
he became a
CIA,
but he became a problem, and he became the monster that he used to go after. And then, of course, he loses his family, and then he becomes this avenging angel, along with these other dads. We call him the D team instead of the A team. Although, he had a van just like the A team.
Well, it's just funny that the CIA somehow is the only thing that survives from the prior
Right?
from the prior world. That survives into the Universal Century. It's like, wow, okay.
Yo, Langley don't sleep, man.
No, it doesn't.
But yeah, just to see them operate, and I enjoyed this story for the most part. It was short and sweet. And that going into this, that it's not going to end well for them, because you don't see any of these characters except for the unicorn carryovers. You don't see any of these new characters in any of the future stuff. So I just was wondering, reading this, how Full Frontal was going to take them down. But it did get into the mystique of Full Frontal a little bit, and I appreciated it for that more than anything. Asking who he is, what does he, who does he serve. Where did he come from? Who was he before this? And he's just a guy who wants to carry on the will of Neo Zeon. He has that great speech where he talks about that Char Aznable's dead, and the reason why I'm here now is because the impact of his death. So it was cool to get a little taste of that. The name of what's his name? Angelo, I want to say. No, Angelo Soper. Getting some insight on his character too. What happened to his mother after the I want to say that was after the 1 year war ended, possibly, or basically his mother was terrible things happened to her basically, and then he was thrown into a world of sexual slavery and all that stuff, and then he was rescued eventually by Full Frontal, whoever he really is. And brought into the ranks of Neo Zeon in order to have a second chance of life, and that whole thing unfolding between them, where he's questioning Full Frontal, and he brings up a good fact. He says, "I don't want to die for someone who's playing Char for pretend. I'm not here for this." And so they have that good back and forth that I think was one of the hallmarks of the story, I believe, where he finally kind of wins him on board. Full Frontal wins him. Wins Angelo onto his side basically by talking a good talk, and then showing off his skills in battle, and showing he's not just Char in appearance. He's also willing to go the whole nine and be a proper leader for Neo Zeon. So that was nice to see. For the most part, though, I enjoyed the story, the mecha designs. I think the artists really captured motion very well. In a lot of the spreads and depictions, especially when people got killed. That poor mother and child, as you probably, I don't know why I didn't see that coming, but I should have saw it coming, because it's mother and child. But
they're always gonna die.
Oh yeah, man, it was a recipe for tragedy, as always. But then to see this guy become Charles Bronson, basically, and going back out there, old Carlos Craig. I like to call him Los. Old Los getting out there and trying to get his revenge, man. But he was a smooth operator, man. I was sorry to see him go when he did, but he went out like a G. And it was a pretty good opponent for Full Frontal, just not a powerful enough opponent to take him on. So it was a fascinating read, and I'll turn it back over to you guys for your opinions on it.
Chris, your thoughts on Gundam Unicorn Episode Zero?
So quite a few. The first that occurs to me is that we have all these people slamming Witch from Mercury as being woke because it has people claiming that capitalism is bad and blah blah blah, blah. When really, we've been seeing those themes since Zeta in the 80s. And this is just continuing that. We have always seen from day one that Anaheim's entire existence is predicated upon playing both sides for its own benefit. And if there's no war going on, Anaheim will do its darndest to nudge one along. And the Federation is complicit because they need an enemy too to justify their big defense budgets. And if they don't have one, then they can't. keep coasting on the fear of Zeon alone. So, it's no surprise that this kind of dirty dealing is going on. One thing that I found very interesting was in the third volume, near the end, the conversation between Carlos and Full Frontal, where Full Frontal is saying, you're basically just doing this for a vendetta. You're not doing this for any kind of higher purpose, and that's why, you're going to fail. And, all of these people died who would have otherwise lived. And, when you look at the end result, you can't really argue with Full Frontal's logic, because this was supposed to be a sort of like bloodless, pre-engineered theft. Smash, basically, hit and run, smash and grab, running off with the container, and nobody had to die. And Carlos wanted to take a stand against the corrupt system, but at the end, everybody came off worse because he didn't beat the system, and the truth of the incident was covered up because everybody who knew about it died.
Yeah.
So he accomplished nothing other than getting 400 people killed who would have otherwise lived.
Yeah, it shows the waste of just this endless cycle between the Federation and Zeon or Neo Zeon or whatever iterations they are. It's just like that stood out. I was like, wow, you sit there and when they bring that whole thing with Full Frontal and he's saying that, it's like, he's right. Like you don't want to say that because you know what Full Frontal is, because we've seen the anime and all this other stuff, and it's like, no, actually he's right. It's like all these people, and when they, those poor guys that got the maintenance crew that got shot in the head. It's like they're showing them. It's like, yeah, these guys would still be alive. Like you could still sit there and joke with them and everything like that, but because you're on a higher power, and it's weird because Carlos has got this weird kind of it's that whole kind of religious thing in there too. Yeah. It's like one of the, I don't know. I mean, is this one of the first Gundams where you really have this kind of overt religious type of situation here? Because I don't remember anything really being this overt about it.
I've never seen a Jesus face in Gundam before.
They depicted Islam in Double Zeta.
Ah, gotcha.
But I mean, but motivated like this though. I mean, you have. I know it's different because it's a manga and it's like lower tiered, like antagonist and protagonist stuff like that. But I mean, yeah, Carlos was a God-fearing man, so definitely a Christian guy. So you see that imagery in there, and I don't know. So, Chris, anything else?
A couple of things. It was good to get more background on Angelo and the fact that he was initially very skeptical of Full Frontal because he's such a simpering ass kiss of Full Frontal in Unicorn.
Yeah.
And we get to see the journey of how he got there and seeing and becoming a true believer. I was a little bit annoyed that we ended up finding out that his sad, traumatic childhood backstory is also sex trafficking.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like Merida's, right?
We had this with Merida already, and now you're saying the other top ace of the sleeves is also forced into sex trafficking. Come on, I'm not saying that it's not horrible and rampant, and clearly it's an issue even in the Universal Century, but like you're going back to the same well.
It seems like this author's go-to.
It's lazy.
Same series. It's
a little lazy storytelling. Yeah, it's lazy storytelling.
This manga is also, I would note, a little bit of a retcon on the events because did you notice how they were talking about how there were two containers?
Yes.
You never see what's in the second container?
Nope.
You know what it was?
Isn't that it's not the is it the unicorn? Because
no. It's the other Sinanju.
Oh.
Because
Oh,
remember,
it's the original.
they-
Yeah. Okay.
they retconned in a second Sinanju Stein, which
Mhm.
is used by that weirdo Zoltan in narrative.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So the original story was there was one container, and Full Frontal stole that for himself and painted it red.
Hmm.
And now, when this manga came out, it's like, oh no, there actually were two containers.
Who knew?
And they just had this spare Sinanju just sitting there, doing nothing, and then this creep Zoltan comes along and uses it.
Yeah.
So
How
yeah,
how
funny how
convenient.
that works out.
Nice.
Yeah. Something else that I thought this was amusing, that Alberto Vist is such a freaking moron that he thought he was actually flying the Sinanju, and then realized it was on autopilot, and this woman with him is like, are you an idiot? Like, I told you.
It's like putting a controller in the kid's hand, but it's
So
not connected.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the thought.
Yeah, but it falls in line with what a douche he
He's
is.
such a
fucking
dunce.
idiot.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
he's just.
Another thing I thought was kind of neat was got this little short cameo from Deguza in
Mhm.
Volume 1 when they're coming after Carlos, and I was impressed by like the lengths of planning Carlos went through to trap them inside his house and make sure they would not interfere with his plan.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
He seemed to have it together. I'm sorry.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really cool thing where it's like, you guys want to move? It's like, you're not going to leave, because if you do, you're blown up.
Fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, here's there's some food and water in there for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how considerate. You wired the floor to explode, but you're leaving them food and drinks.
At least they could contemplate their lives, or give them enough time to be able to have the bombs undone by whatever means they could possibly have that done. But yeah,
Clearly,
either
it all worked out since we saw Deguza
yeah,
later on, and
Yeah.
I would die when he did.
exactly.
But yeah, I thought that was like a very cool, Liam Neeson Taken kind of moment of like,
Yeah.
you think you're gonna come after me? No, I got you.
Yeah.
Yo, checkmate. The fact that he actually, as mentioned before, he was able to conscript the other family members of people who were lost in that incident in his group, man. It's like, well, that's pretty slick, man. I don't think it took too much convincing to get them on board, being that they're probably pretty pissed at the circumstances too. So yeah, I wish this plan didn't fall apart in the end.
Yeah, it really enforces, like, that's the thing that I kind of felt with, is like, it really enforces kind of the cycle of violence
Yeah,
that
that's a
you
big
have with this whole thing. With, I mean, it started in the 1 Year War, and it's like nobody ever learns, and it's real to, like, what we see in real life is the fact of, like, you kill somebody and then you basically radicalize all their friends and family. And I thought that was pretty interesting. It kind of brought the whole situation that you're seeing here. And I mean, you still sit there and you're like, I still don't understand why people are down with this whole Neo Zeon thing, because all it ever does is lead you to destruction. But I guess if you're trying to get your freedom or whatever, if
Yeah,
you really
nothing
build-
else.
Yeah, I guess.
They talked about it
yeah.
in Unicorn that that people didn't have religion to guide them in space, and that the ideology of Xeon was like the only thing they had to cling to.
Yeah, yeah, and it shows it. I mean, it really does show it with Full Frontal. So, Chris, anything else, or?
Right now, I'd just say definitely worth a read if you enjoyed Unicorn. I also appreciate one last comment that because the Unicorn anime deliberately did not go into very much detail about Full Frontal compared to the original novels from when I read the summaries. I like that this manga kind of addresses that issue a little bit, because he's almost entirely just a cipher in the anime. And I knew from reading the summaries of the novels that there was more to him to be explained that should have been in the anime, but then for whatever baffling reason was not.
Right.
It's good that it kind of got snuck in here and helps flesh him out a bit.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree on that.
Yeah, I'd have to say on my comments on this, I feel like this is one of the better prequel type of side stories or mangas that you have, is because I felt the same way with him. Like, I always felt like in the anime with Full Frontal, and I didn't read any of the summaries that Chris is noting, but it's like, okay, he's kind of there, but you kind of understand what's going on with him with this, and it's nice to see, even in 3 volumes. It makes some sense. I think the other part about it too is just it really kind of, all Gundam has always shown like the atrocities of war, but this whole idea with this story where the atrocities of war and it's showing like the people that are the survivors. I think the most powerful thing, it's like the end of the first chapter where it's like the worst thing is to survive. So okay.
Hello?
That's it. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, no problem.
Oh, hold on one second.
All right. Chris, any other thoughts?
I would say that in the end, it's a bit of a cynical story, because you're rooting for Carlos and his pals, even though you know what's going to happen, and then at the end of the story, the way that Frontal framed it, like it really just kind of brings down the whole endeavor, and it's like, these guys, they did something useless. It was literally all for nothing.
Yeah.
They tried to challenge the system. The system was too strong, failed. Nobody ever knew what they did, and nothing was accomplished.
Yeah, it's I guess it's set up to be a tragedy for the most part, and it sucks to see what happened, but it also shows you how Full Frontal got into the position that he's in. It shows pretty much I forget her name now, the youngest Zabi daughter, Minerva, how she ends up basically leaving and going out to kind of resolve this in her own way. So it does a lot of setting up, but I think it does a pretty good job in the end. But any other thoughts before Neil gives his thoughts?
No, it's good stuff. No, I kind of gave and I'm in agreement with what you guys had to. It's like I like I said, I think it's one of the better kind of prequel manga stories that we've seen, and I think the fact that you only have like 3 episodes or 3 volumes kind of helps it. And going the route of bringing in something that kind of spices up the whole narrative, but the people that Full Frontal and them have to deal with don't show up. It makes a lot of sense. So
I mean, in the end, it's definitely a fascinating read. I enjoyed it for the most part. It gives more context to the Unicorn arc in the long run, and I wouldn't expect seeing Banager in this. For those who haven't read this, Banager's not in this. You see people on the periphery of that character, but not really him. But if you like Full Frontal, this is definitely something to check out.
Well, and I think the other thing too is that I think what Chris brings up, the whole idea of this whole thing with Anaheim,
Yeah.
like that whole situation of just the double dealing corporation that sits there. It's like, you know, to go the lengths of just sitting there creating something and then creating this whole thing where they're going to steal it to prolong a war or to start a new war. It's like, wow, I mean, is it really that desperate? I mean, can't Anaheim like transition their technology to something else? I mean, it's like
apparently they got the monopoly, man. There's like no other competitors. They have to stroke both sides. You figure Zionic Corporation was taken apart right after the 1 year war, so a lot of their assets were brought into Anaheim, and now Anaheim is always covering both fronts of any kind of conflict that's going on, and no one calls them out on it. No one definitely puts sanctions on them or whatever they need to in order to stop that from happening. Now the government's in on this too, and it's interesting that it brings up that whole conspiracy and their behavior throughout all the conflicts that happen throughout the UC until they're eventually taken down. So
it's a play on, what is it, the
life.
famous speech of President Eisenhower.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't want the military industrial complex to dictate policy. It's like,
not at all.
Well, they kind of forgot that in the Universal Century.
They sure did.
You know.
It's not like we remembered it.
True.
I don't know if we're this bad though. I mean,
it's just a warning, though. It's an absolute warning for those who are paying attention.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a uniquely. I mean, it is something that you bring up in the aspect of what we see in the United States and, you know, like our European partners when it comes to some of this stuff. But you can definitely see the more like emphasis on it on the like Japanese side. It's like, it's interesting if you always think of Japan as this aspect of like, after that war, you know, World War II, they completely changed their tune on a lot of things. And you know, they saw the big picture on all this stuff, and you know, you kind of get that. And in some ways, these soliloquies by Full Frontal, you see the same thing. Like I said, he annoyed me in the Unicorn anime, but in a weird thing, it's like I kind of see where he's coming from in this one. It's like, I mean, even though he always did that lame excuse of like, I'm just playing the part that was given to me. It's like, okay, but
I never called myself the Red Comet. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. It's like, sorry, I guess you guys just see this, but yeah. So it just shows the desperation of people just trying to grasp on something they don't have. So, but all right. Chris, you want to give us a quick synopsis of Under the Moonlight?
Are we going to do ratings for?
Oh yeah, we should do that.
Oh, you want to do?
Episode
You want to do that? You want to do ratings now? I thought we'd do. Okay, that's fine. Sobra, your ratings on Unicorn Episode Zero.
I enjoyed it. Just to get it over the hump, man. I give it 3.5 bottles of water as we're stuck in this house, waiting for rescue.
There you go.
There you go.
Chris, what are you gonna give it?
I'm going to give this 4 mobile suit pilots wearing sunglasses in space out of 5.
Nice.
Oh, it felt bad when he died. That hurt me a little bit. When it's like, damn it! I thought he was gonna survive. I thought he was gonna be the only one to survive. Nah, he was like the first one to die.
Yo, Space Ray Bans, man.
Space Ray Bans, yeah. I'd have to give it 4 corporate double crosses out of 5 too. Yeah, because it's just. It's like, if you hated, if you didn't hate Anaheim Electronics after all the other previous Gundam iterations, you're gonna definitely hate them in this one. So, but all right, Chris, Under the Moonlight.
So, Under the Moonlight is a sequel to Gundam X set 9 years after the TV series in After War 0024. and the story is about Rick Aller, a guy from space who has come down to Earth and has been working with some vultures and participates in an underwater salvage race where he crosses path with another vulture named Rosa II, and they get trapped inside of a downed submarine, which, big surprise, has a black GX inside of it because there's just apparently so many of these abandoned all over the place.
Oh my god.
It's a problem.
Yeah, but unlike Garrett's experience, they find a dude in the cockpit wearing a Gundam mask, and the cockpit has been turned into like a hibernation chamber.
Oh yeah.
And this guy wakes up. His name is Kai, and goes into battle against these other vultures. So they end up joining Rick's ship, but Kai feels a call to a certain location, and he gets into another Gundam, the Gundam Belphegor, that is very evil looking, and that is remarked upon later in the manga. And he turns on them because he has a mission to, kill all these damn space people and make them pay for what they did. So Rick is dedicated to trying to hunt him down and save him, and finds out that the mask is brainwashing him and that he's not actually a real new type, and that the mask just gives him new type like abilities, but it's brainwashing him and destroying his mind. And Kai hooks up with this terrorist group called Eyes of Space, who want to create a new world ruled by new types. And Rick and his friends finally take them down, and he's able to save Kai, and then Kai decides to go on a journey of self-discovery. And because of their actions here, messing around with these clowns, Rosa II gets kicked out of the Vultures, and it's replaced by a group called Black Hornet, which involves Rick's estranged dad. And Black Hornet turns out to be bad and is tied to Eyes of Space, and a bunch of shenanigans happen, and Rick finds out that his dad's not actually bad, but then his dad gets shot, dies, and one of these Black Hornets, this guy named Eden, betrays them, and then betrays some of his other mobile suit pilots, and he's actually working with these guys up in space who are part of this project to turn a backup satellite system facility into a power generator for Earth. Then Eden betrays them too and kills this guy, and he wants to fire an Earth-based satellite cannon at Cloud 9, the capital colony in space, and destroy that. And through the power of friendship, Rick and his friends are able to, defeat him, and, peace is restored to the land, I guess.
What a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Well, it's a mess of a story, and I can tell you exactly why. And I'm going to bring up a blast from the past. Y'all remember Ganoda headlines?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you go to Ganoda headlines, they talk in 2004, late 2004, about how a Gundam X manga is going to be debuting in Gundam Ace, and that it's scheduled to have a short run for about 5 months.
Right.
And the last mention of it is a post from, imagine the timing, February 24th, 2005.
Oh, wow.
Almost exactly 18 years ago, talking about how, due to the reaction to the manga being more positive than anticipated, that the manga was being extended.
Yes, and you can see where it happens too. But Oof.
You have that information in hand. It's like, yes, I can see exactly what happened here,
Boy.
but I'll save that for my comments. I'll turn it back to you, Neo.
So, bro, your comments.
Man, in light of what you just told us, it runs about 2 volumes too long.
Yeah.
It really does. For the amount of gas they had for this story, you could see exactly where the stopping point was, and it's at the end of volume 2. The end of volume 2, you can see the story's wrapping up. Things are looking like they're reaching that apex where a story would go, and then they quickly throw in kind of a lead-in for a new story arc at the end of volume 2. And I'm sitting here wondering, is this going to be a little long in the tooth? Get to the next volume. I think it's real cool that his dad shows up, but his dad shows up out of nowhere, and we're talking about Rick. Rick's father suddenly becomes a character in volume 3 of the manga, and when he shows up, all sorts of allegiances change up, and you don't know what twist is going to happen next, and it's a bit unstable going into volume 3, and in volume 4, there are some real crazy turns that take place in volume 4. Certain characters
all over the place.
Yeah, certain characters change up their disposition immediately, including Cyan. Like Cyan looked like she was gonna be a crazy new type, and then in volume 4, all of a sudden she's just as victimized as everybody else. And it's like, oh, I thought you were setting her up to be kind of a major antagonist for the final act, and then no, they introduced some.
The new Creepo comes in volume 4.
They decided to ratchet up with
serve that role.
Yeah, they introduced some kind of dominatrix, sociopathic woman that just wears belt straps all over her body, and it's like, wow, I see why they put you in this.
Yeah, out of nowhere too. It's like so.
Yeah, man.
Makes you stop there. He's like, wait, dude. Where did this crazy person come from?
Yeah, but before I delve all the way into my negatives, I will definitely start off by saying I did enjoy this story when it first started, because it was nice to just go back to the after-war Gundam X world. I think the original series took place in AW15, right?
Yes.
And so this is AW24, so it's like 9 years.
I said at the start if you were paying attention.
Sorry, I was keeping the ship right. But yes. So it's 9 years after the fact, and I was a little disappointed that we didn't really get anybody from After War Gundam X at all. I thought we might get at least one cameo at least, but if you're going into this thinking that you're going to see Garrett Rand show up, or Tifa, or any number of characters that showed up in that series, I hate to break it to you, but that's not going to be the case here. But it is
especially disappointing because this is a manga, so it doesn't matter like what voice actors are available or not. You could literally stick any character in that you wanted. It's like you couldn't even have some cameos, like sprinkle in some people here and there. Like, it's only been 9 years. People would all still be around doing things. Like, I wouldn't want Garrett to come in and like Kira Yamato the story.
Exactly.
But what's he up to? I'd like to know. Like, he's an adult now. What are he and Tifa up to? What's Jamil up to?
Yeah, Jamil and his rival are like politics.
Where's the freedom? Where's the freedom crew? I mean, they start talking about vultures. You're like, they're vultures. Like, why aren't they around? Like,
yeah. I mean, the most we get returning in this are, of course, the Gundam X, the Air Master, the Leopard. We get mobile suits that we are familiar with from the series in this. Some variations as well.
It's also like we were led to believe that the Air Master and Leopard that Witz and Royby had were like pretty much the last ones left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yet here's two more.
Mm-hmm.
And yet another Gundam
GX.
X. And it's like, come on, guys! Like, how many of these freaking mobile suits are just floating around out there? On top of that, there's a short manga that was included with the Gundam X Blu-ray in Japan that features Unit 3 of the Gundam X. It's like, for fuck's sakes, like, there just is no end of these fucking guys.
No.
Yeah, and there's another satellite station, and it's like, come on, like,
some of the stuff breaks the world, and that's a bit problematic. But I mean, it's a manga, so some of the stuff you can let slide. But by the time you get to volume 3, your tolerance starts to lower. At least mine did. I still enjoyed it all the way through, but I just at that point was just reading it to close out the story. as opposed to being like fully intrigued as to where it was going. But you know, I like the main character. Rick I thought was compelling. Kai was a bit of a puppet at first, but he came around too. You have Rosa the Second, who shows up as maybe she's not a tsundere, but she's definitely a hard ass at first, and then she softens up and becomes
it's literally a tsundere.
No, the tsundere. Oh, there you go, tsundere it is. But she starts out as tsundere, but you know she eventually becomes cool and forms a relationship with Rick, and before you know it, they're the main love interest by the end. And the other assortment of characters that show up. My man, what's his name? I got his name right here. Biston Magnifico. The president, El Presidente, man. He just shows about the blue, the halls, and mobile suits in the final book. And then he reminisces on how cool Rick's dad was when he was young. I guess they're alluding to the fact that he was also an active participant in the conflict, and we get a little insight about Rick's mom passing when he was real young, and that his father basically neglected him because he was too busy with his work. I like the relationship between Rick and his dad. I think his dad's name is Berg, it's a shame that he died tragically, but you can see the writing on the wall as soon as his character showed up. So, anyway, I thought it was a fun read, but it's something that if I never read, I wouldn't miss it, I suppose. But again, it's cool to go back to this world. I would love to see a revisit to the after-war Gundam X world. That's a bit more involved and has a better written story, to be honest. But I thought this was okay, to say the least. And I'll pass it back to you guys to give your thoughts.
Chris?
So I remember at the time that this manga came out, it seemed like finding an oasis in the desert, because contrary to how Gundam X is viewed now in 2023, back in the early aughts, it did not have a good reputation, and a lot of people who had not seen it just crapped on it because, like, oh, it was canceled, so it must be bad, which I always thought was a ridiculous argument, because then why doesn't that logic apply to the original series?
You're right.
Yeah. How can you say that Gundam X must have been bad since it was canceled, but you don't make that argument for MSG?
Yeah, it's a dumb stance, because there's a lot of shows that have been canceled before their time and were excellent shows. And it's just because they weren't hitting at the time, or they were in the wrong time slot, or any number of reasons as to why they may have failed. Maybe the audience wasn't looking for something at the time. But thank God we have streaming, because we can go back and watch a lot of shows that came and went, and some of those shows get revived. So you never know. But yeah, X definitely was slept on back then.
So, people thought of it as a failure, and I don't know what the Japanese perception of X was, but definitely at this time in the West, it was, it was a black sheep. It's like, oh, it sucked. It got canceled. It was competing against Evangelion, which is not true, but that's neither here nor there. So, it was like, wow, a Gundam X manga that's a sequel. What good fortune is this? And then you go and you read it, and it's like, glad that it was popular enough that they wanted to extend it, but it should not have been.
No. Yeah.
Because clearly had a story in mind,
Mm-hmm.
and there was really no way to stretch that story, and they tried, and last two volumes are just such steep dive in quality. Like, it just didn't. I was reading the story just by volume 4, not because I was interested in the resolution, but just because I had to for this segment.
Completionist. For the most part.
Yeah, because I'll have to eventually review it, but the story is such a mess. There's so many betrayals after betrayals. There's so many, as Silver mentioned, nonsensical character motivations. I don't understand what anybody was really after, who any of these people are, why any of this matters. Eden is just a very poorly sketched villain who's just out here betraying everybody and kind of channeling the
For no
Frost
reason.
brothers, but but not
Yeah.
being any kind of interesting character, and we have no idea. Like, at least with the Frost Brothers, we knew it's like, oh well, the world rejected us, so we'll show the world by
Exactly.
destroying it.
Simple,
Like, they at
simple but
least had a
effective.
clear motivation. Yeah,
Yeah.
they had a clear motivation. Eden, I don't understand what these like. World sucks.
I don't understand
so,
what. Yeah, I don't.
Fuck it up.
I never got his motivation. On
Hey guys,
anything.
I got a sister complex.
Even then, that
Yeah,
was
he,
like
he
so.
turns Rosa into his like fake sister and like does this brainwashing thing, and you know, he betrays some of his comrades who end up then being like on Rick's side, but not, but yes, and it's just completely nonsensical. The second half, like I don't. It's rare to see like such a steep drop in quality, but it is directly attributable to the fact that the series got extended. And I did enjoy the first half. You know, the story was rather big. It's okay. So there's this terrorist group and yada yada, but then when they tried to like add to that of, oh well, there's this whole huge conspiracy behind this terrorist group, that's when the story goes off the rails.
Yeah.
And you know, Rick was okay in the first two volumes, but I don't find him particularly compelling. He's kind of just a generic shonen protagonist.
Yeah.
And you know, the fourth volume like really gears into the territory of this like romantic subplot between him and Rosa that is not really
Didn't exist. No.
built up in any of the previous volumes. You have a cast characters in the first two volumes, most of which are abandoned in the last two volumes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of them just appear at the very end of the story, like in the final battle. So there's just so much inconsistency here, and you know, it's just clearly a very poor attempt to extend the story, and it just made it worse.
Yeah, it almost seems like if you wanted to extend the story, it would have made more sense to do different characters. Like it would have been cool to see like somebody else in the world.
Yeah, you know, show us what some of the old TV crew is up to. I mean, you know, when they talk about the president, like, oh, the president, he runs this town, and you know, he'll build it up. Like, it's like, is this teasing us, or you know, maybe it's actually somebody from the TV show, but they took on an alias? Like, it seemed like that was the direction. It's like, no, it's just some old guy.
Yeah,
the same old guy you've been sitting next to the whole time.
Yeah, wouldn't it be cool if like you get there and it's like, oh, it's Tex.
Yeah. Oh yeah, true. That would have really been cool. It's almost like they went out of their way not to have anybody from the show in this, as if there might have been a mandate of some kind. It's like, well, you can do it in the world, but we don't want you using anybody from the show. It's like, why not? That would be a huge draw. That would be a boon. And I get it. I'm not about the Kiriyama-toing of a sequel series. I don't want to see that happen either. But if they show up just to have some kind of narrative connection to the events that took place prior, especially like someone like Jamil or his rival, who both become politicians to some degree, or work for the government, being that this is this involves world events, you'd figure that maybe one of them would be seen even in a broadcast or something, but we didn't get any of that at all. So I don't know.
I mean, there's a way to do this. It's called Zeta Gundam.
Yes.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Not every Seed Destiny is the example of what not to do. Zeta is the example of what to do in a sequel series with returning characters. So there was a formula they could have followed. They didn't. You know, like you said, you know, Jamil and Sala, they're both working in the New Earth government in the epilogue of the TV series. Lancero's working for the space colonies. So I feel like we should have seen them. Like, I feel like by this point, 9 years later, why wouldn't Jared have been captain of his own vulture ship? Maybe he's the captain of the Frieden, and some of the people are still working for him and Tifa. Like, you know, you could have shown some of this and given us an opportunity to catch up with where these people are. But yeah, they went out of their way to not ever show anybody or even mention them, aside from just like a tiny bit of backstory of Weiss, that her and Gradine fought in the 8th Space War.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem too, especially when you start bringing up the vultures. It's like, they should be showing up somewhere. It's like, and you're right. The other problem too is the fact of there's another GX, there's another Leopard, there's another Airmaster. It's like we thought these things were just they were specialized units that they didn't have an additional ones of it. It's like no, and we got some guy in a weird Gundam mask hibernating in it. It's like, ugh.
I do think it is kind of cool that they introduced the Gundam Belphegor, because that's
Yeah.
actually not a new unit. It first debuted in the SD Gundam G Generation games.
Oh.
And in its backstory, it is from the after-war timeline, so it's not a new design. They just took a pre-existing design from the universe and stuck it into this comic, so I think that was cool that they did that.
But
But yeah, it's like I would have rather seen new mobile suits instead of just let's dig up more of the old trios.
Yeah, because you're 9 years after the fact, and it's like, wouldn't they start developing stuff? It's like, because you get the sense that society and everything's starting to kind of go forward, and it's like, okay, I get that, but yeah, you don't see that there. I thought that was kind of a lazy attempt, and like you guys said, the first 2 volumes are good, and the fact that they extend it, it's like, it's good that you extend it, but it still would make more sense if you just would have went to a different story or different characters or whatever. Because let's be honest, the whole after-war thing is really, really interesting. It's such a good story point, because how do you survive where humanity's to put to the point? I think what in after-war in Gundam X they talk about after the 7th base battle, it's like there was like what nine or something billion people on the planet, and less than 1 million were left after the whole catastrophe. It's like
the colony drops.
How do you get out of this? Like, how do you move forward? And yeah, I don't know.
Apparently, there's just a bunch of wackos running around everywhere.
Yeah, and I get that. I guess you're gonna have that. You're gonna have wackos running around, but I don't know. It just and with the world so small, you would think that you would have some of the Freedom Crew show up somewhere. It's like, where are these people? But I don't know.
Just give me more Frost Brothers, all right?
Yeah, exactly.
Give me some more Frost Brothers. Let's see what they're up to. I know one of them's in a wheelchair. He's handy capable, man. He'll be all right. He can still do villainy, man. I want to see it.
Yeah, well,
Or,
yeah.
you know, like
9 months. It's 9 years later. Couldn't he get like a mobile suit that
Hell
could
yeah.
overcome his disability?
Oh yeah,
It's like,
without a doubt, man. I know
Yeah.
they could get it done, man. If they have to go back out there and terrorize, they'd get that cockpit popping. No question.
what about those 2 new type scammer guys? Like, we could have seen them like still doing the old shtick like a decade later. Like,
Oh, yeah.
guys, come on,
Yeah.
you gotta stop with this.
Man, it's unfortunate, but it's I don't know. It was interesting, but any other thoughts, guys?
I don't know. I don't have any
Oh damn!
ratings.
Oh damn!
Ratings?
Already? Yo, Chris, any other thoughts that come to mind before we I guess jump into ratings for this one?
Let's say, if you read this, be prepared to enjoy the first 2 volumes and
Yep.
not at all the second 2.
Yeah. in some ways, if you don't have to review it, it might make sense just to stop at episode or volume 2.
Just read those 2 and stop. Like,
Yeah, I
a
mean,
little tease at
seriously.
the end, just ignore it.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, it's like because it's a weird departure, and you're right. It's like mangas usually sometimes they go weird towards the end, but it's like they don't go this weird. Like this is a little special in the ways that it just kind of deviates and goes in a way different direction than what you were used to with this. So
I feel like for this extension that there was no outline whatsoever, and they were just making it up issue by issue.
Yeah, I think so. It feels like it.
It's completely off. You're right too. The Rick Rosa 2 romance. I'm like, where the hell did this come from? Like they kind of couldn't stand each other in the first 2 volumes. It's like now they can't live without each other. It's like,
If anything, in the first 2 volumes, like you would have thought maybe like they might have been pushing Rick and Mana together.
Yes.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Rick and Mana, or the other young lady that was a pilot in their group.
Yeah, Mana shows up.
Lynn.
She shows up like in episode 4, like towards the end. It's like, oh yeah, we had some of these upgrades that we needed to. It's like, where'd you been the whole time? Like, it's not. Yeah, yeah. I can't live without you, Rosa. Really? Okay.
Yeah, that's how you know Gundam series is wrapping up, when the main character finally admits his feelings.
I don't want to be apart from you, but I'm gonna go do this final battle on my own.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
The logic,
Quietly wait like women are supposed to.
Exactly.
the math checks out.
So.
Oh my god.
Anything else before we do ratings?
No.
All right.
So, bro.
Man, I'm gonna put this right in the middle, man. I'm gonna give this 2.5 shards in the back, man. 2.5 shrapnel shards in the back, man. Shout outs to old Berg, man. May he rest in peace.
By the way, that's the thing. It's like right before that happens, Rick discovers like, oh my god, Dad, your hand's cybernetic. It's like, yeah, most of my body is by this point.
Yeah,
like,
I felt
wait
the
a
same
second.
way.
Like, we never any elaboration on that, and we had no indication from Gundam X that like cybernetic
Yes.
Is a thing. Yeah.
were a thing. So like, this is such a like random thing to just throw in. It's like it just speaks to the messiness of the writing here.
Just thrown together,
Well,
man. It feels it.
not only that, but the fact is like, yeah, most of my body's cybernetics. It's like, but then these 2 metal shards are gonna kill you. It's like, I thought everything on you was okay. Yeah,
Definitely not my spine.
I guess he's like Frankie from One Piece. Like,
Yes.
I'm a cyborg except for my back because I couldn't reach that.
Yeah, I guess, and yeah, you're right, because I don't remember anything about cybernetics in Gundam X. It's like that seems like a very advanced thing outside of like 24 years after this catastrophic war that basically almost laid waste to humanity. You think in some parts of the world they're still trying to get running water, and this guy's got like a cybernetic body. So, but Chris, your rating on Under the Moonlight?
I'm gonna give this one 2.5 lusty thieves / mechanics.
There you go.
Out of 5.
It's always a good
Oh.
rating.
Oh man, yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have to give it 2.5. You thought this was the last mobile suit, but it really wasn't in the previous show. So, yeah, because that kind of bothered me too. It's like, what? But
Before we wrap up, there was a question in the chat from MCT Dread. He says, what other Gundam mangas or side stories actually take away from the source material instead of adding to it?
Oh.
I would say for sure Crossbone, because
I
Crossbone,
knew it.
Crossbone is fucking trash.
Damn.
Crossbone is complete and utter irredeemable trash that makes the Universal Century worse with every new iteration.
Oh.
I would also say Stray after a point because it gets so ridiculous
No, it does.
and convoluted.
Some
It's
of it just doesn't make any
so
sense
weird.
when you put it into the continuity of the other series. It's like, no, what? Why this existed at the same? Yo, stop.
Along the same lines and from the same writer, Gundam 00F with on Spark, this like insane dude who's like suicide squatted into becoming a Gundam Meister and is just like this like deranged maniac. Like, it just does not fit in with the world of 00 at all. And his whole like everything that he does like just is weird. in that manga series. So yeah, that series does not make the 00 world any better.
Well, yeah.
What about Advance of Zeta? I haven't read it, but some of the stuff they roll out into that doesn't seem like it would fit in the Zeta timeline for the most part.
It's kind of annoying that like every fucking thing has like this huge prototype lineage.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff like really makes no sense. Like for example, not to get too into the weeds, but like one of the Titans test team suits is the RX-107 Rosette, which if you look at it is a prototype for the Marasai. But in Zeta, they tell us that the Marasai was intended for the Aug, but that Anaheim gave it to the Titans just to shut them up and appease them.
Yeah.
It's like how does that make any sense?
It doesn't.
and the Marasai is basically derived from the Gelgoog, right? I mean,
it's a general kind of Zeonic.
Yeah, it's Zeonic kind of Federation type of thing. Yeah.
In Anaheim.
Yeah.
At that point, but it's like, don't get me started on how many freaking Wound Ward and Hazel and whatever, like too many variations, too much mixing and matching, too much stuff. Like,
yeah,
some of the individual designs are cool, but like, yeah, Advance of Zeta kind of eventually went away from itself. Then AOZ Reboot, same, like some cool designs in it, but like, you know, the story is like another Zabi and, you know, Mars Zeon and then like others Neo Zeon who don't like each other, and you know, it's like we're getting a little too into the ridiculous here with some of this stuff.
I know after the show last week we talked about Thunderbolt, and Thunderbolt had some mecha that's involved in that should definitely not be around in the early 0080s. I forget what it was though, but do you think?
Oh, it's everything.
Everything.
The Mark II, the Rick Diaz, the Hyaku Shiki, the Zeta. They're all in Thunderbolt.
Wow. Yeah, that some of that just does not add
It
up
makes
at all.
no sense. Because Zeta Gundam tells us differently on all that stuff.
We have in the chat a dishonorable mention for Frozen Teardrop, which, you know, from everything I've read, sounds like the worst fanfic you could ever conceive of, except for the fact that it's from the original writer of Gundam Wing.
Man,
wow,
it goes to show that it looks like that tension in the story doesn't really have much of it doesn't have a lot of staying power when it comes down to it. I heard so much nightmares about Frozen Teardrop.
Are they forced to do this? I mean, is that how this works? Where they're just kind of forced to, like, we have to bring additional media just to keep this thing going and to sell models and stuff? Because in some ways, yeah, like you said, I mean, like Astray and Advanced Zeta, it almost seems like that was the whole idea behind it, was just merchandise. You know?
It's always the pursuit of merchandise. I would also add as another dishonorable mention, there were 3 completely separate manga that tried to bridge the gap between Wing and Endless Waltz. Blind Target, Battlefield of the Pacifists, and Ground Zero. Blind Target is a good story. The other 2, garbage.
Man.
I don't know why we had to have 3 totally different attempts to bridge this gap between the show and the OVA, but if anything, it should have just been Blind Target. I don't know why those 2 other exist. They're crap, and they don't make the story any better.
Which is the one that contains the epilogue story where it's just the Gundam Wing boys doing spy work or something like that.
That's episode 0.
Episode 0, man.
Yeah.
Just their backstories that were never in the TV show and only very lightly touched upon in Endless Waltz.
Man, it's been a while since I even read those, but yeah, I remember that at least. But yeah, it's crazy, man. Neil, you're gonna say something? I've got a few things from the chat I wanted to bring up before we go as well.
No, go ahead. No, the Blind Target I actually read, and yeah, doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Well, MCG Dread wrote earlier, I love the mech designs in the Under the Moonlight manga, but man, that's I think the only positive he had to say about that. Shout out to Ed the Crimson. He says, "Let me see more Frost Brothers pettiness." And sometimes capitalism happens, but that it doesn't mean that a show is bad. Well put, sir. Well put. Rob Adler writes in regards to Lance Rowe or Jamil, that their face should be on the money by now. So, they should at least showed up at least in that way. And last but not least,
Jamil has to be wearing sunglasses.
Yes. Oh my God! Please put the bad boys on. Man, we need those back. Yazi, just to close out, he wrote several things. He said, here was a short manga for Gundam X a few years ago. Next prologue. It was an epilogue to Gundam X. Garrett, Tifa, and Carius were in that, from what I've heard. We'll get that Frost Brothers spinoff like the Outlaw Stars spinoff about the McDougal brothers. I'm still waiting, Yazi. I'm still waiting for that. The McDougal motherfucking brothers. Hold
your breath on that one.
And here's some news that will make Chris happy, as if he didn't already know. There's still another shitty Crossbone in the works. There you go, Chris.
Oh, believe me, look. Remember, I'm the poor bastard who has to make the profiles for these hideous abominations. So I always know there's more Crossbone.
Oh, you're the first
I am
to know.
fated to always be making more profiles for filthy Crossbone designs.
Oh.
Because Hasegawa personally has it out for me and me alone and not anybody else. He does
Chris,
this just because he hates me.
I have a question for you. Why do you think they keep doing the Crossbones? I mean, outside of just the novelty of the skull and crossbones on a Gundam, I mean, outside of a certain point, I mean, I read some of those early Crossbone mangas. They're not good. Like, they're just not good. You can't stay engaged. Why do they keep doing this?
When people said 25 years ago, like, oh man, it's like Gundam meets Captain Harlock. I'd be like, oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
It is.
No,
it's
it's nowhere near that.
Call this Gundam meets Harlock is an insult to both Gundam and Harlock.
And Leichi Matsumoto,
Harlock,
who we just lost, man. Don't bring shame upon his house. Don't do this.
But why? I mean, what's the appeal of it? Like, I just don't. I don't know.
Like Hasegawa's mobile suit design, I hate this like 70s aesthetic. Everybody looks like they're 12, even if they're adults. Unless they're just like really, really old, then they just look really old. But like every character looks the same age. I can't stand that like rounded style that he has for mobile suit designs. His mobile suits are all hideous. The stories are just increasingly ridiculous. I don't know. I mean, obviously there's an appeal in Japan that's driving this. I don't understand what the appeal is. Like, okay, so the Crossbone Gundams, they look kind of cool, but everything else, all that Jupiter stuff is hideous monsters.
It's weird, yeah. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
I have no idea. I wish I knew what the appeal was of Crossbone, because then that would make it easier to combat it. And then I don't know. And the Western fascination with it is equally baffling.
Oh yeah. We weren't even there when it came out. You know, we get the scandalations and we read them, and I was like, it's cool in concept, but in execution, not so much. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's not. I don't get it. Like, I just honestly, yeah. It's very bizarre to me. I've, you know.
I mean, it's cool if you love it. That's cool. You know, but if anything, it's just when it comes to Gundam stories, it's at the lower end of the barrel for me, man. I it's not my first go-to at all, especially when it comes to manga, man. I'd rather point you in the direction of École du Ciel or Gundam the Origin or this 0083 manga that everybody's raving about. I can't wait to read that, especially since it's an improvement upon the story. That's what you want, really. something that
I would
adds
not
to-
ever point anyone to École du Ciel now, not because it's bad, but because of the fact that Kimoto abandoned it like 15 years ago, and he's never gonna come back to it and never gonna finish it.
I didn't know he
Just like how
abandoned it.
he also, he abandoned it and went and did Macross the First, then
Oh,
abandoned
wow.
that multiple times,
Yo.
and both are just sitting there in limbo.
Damn, Mikimoto, man, come on now. That's my favorite artist.
I don't know what the hell he's up to now, but he's got these 2 incomplete manga, and I think it's been 10, 11, 12 years since he stopped working on École du Ciel. No explanation, no word on when or if he was coming back, so it's just a fucking dead series.
Damn, man, that's tough, man. I didn't know. And Mikimoto, man, come on, step it up, man. You're my favorite artist. What are you doing? What are you doing? But
Not those 2 series.
yeah, apparently not those at all. But fellas, anything you guys wanted to mention before we close out the episode?
No, I'm good.
I do have a question for you guys, and it involves Top Gun Maverick. Neil, I know you've seen it. Chrissy, did you ever sit down and watch that?
I have not.
Okay. Well, it's no secret that this movie is like the biggest Star Wars clone I've ever seen. It's enjoyable. Don't get me
Really?
wrong. Yes. If you go, Star Wars Explained did a comparison video of like major scenes from Top Gun Maverick to scenes like 1-to-1 in Star Wars. It's very amazing. There's a trench run at the end of the film. Then someone went and put the music for the trench run from the Death Star in episode 4 to it, and it fits perfectly. I shit you not. So, I still enjoyed the movie, don't get me wrong. I actually enjoyed it more than the first Top Gun. Just my quick review. Top Gun Maverick was dope. It took me forever to watch the first Top Gun, knock that out, watch Top Gun Maverick a week later, and it's like, yo, this movie's cool. Especially the progression these characters make. When it comes to pilots, it's
a progression. What progression are you talking about?
Maverick, man. He's not the douche he was back in 1986. He's finally realized his age is catching up with him, and it's a factor in the movie. And I love that they gave his character at least some dimension in the sequel, as opposed to the first movie, where he's just a fuckboy trying to get in the air.
Well, he's got no choice in the in the current, and I mean he's
Don Draper put a foot up his ass.
Yeah, I mean it ends up being the same, commercial for the Navy.
Yeah.
As the one in
Very much
1985 was.
It really is.
Yeah, I mean it's ridiculous, and I get what you're saying on the trench run, but in a lot of ways, it's just the first movie adding the trench run, and with less like misogyny in it than you had in the first one, because you still have all the other weird things in it. You have just the balls out stuff. Instead of a volleyball game with shirtless guys, you have a football game on the beach with shirtless guys. So it's got everything in there that people liked about the first one. It's a fun movie, but I think this comes back to a group chat we were talking about where people are talking, it's like I saw the whole thing where Steven Spielberg's like, yo, you say movies. And it's like, I guess maybe he did for movie theaters, but it's like, and people are acting like this is like Citizen Kane. I'm like, really? I mean, it's an enjoyable movie, and it's really cool, and it has the same thing that the first movie had. Incredible aerial combat scenes. I mean, the stuff is amazing. The way they make it look like they're actually flying those F-15 or F-18s.
What they captured in that movie is beyond
awesome.
It's really historical, to be honest. Just to see the G-forces that these actors have to endure. Yeah. It's kind of fucking wild. But yeah, it's great. I enjoyed it.
But is the most like simplistic story that there is. It's so obvious that it's just a giant, I mean, I'm saying it
Yeah, man. But yeah, if anything, I would recommend it, especially if you see the original. But that's it. MHQ.net, mechatalk.net. Subscribe to us here on youtube.com/GundamMHQ. And that's all I got to say, man. Oh, I think I might have lost you guys.
Nope.
Oh, okay. Neo, you there? Oh, I think we might have lost.
That's okay.
Well, all right then. Fuck. Well, I guess we'll shut it down. Guys, thanks again for watching. And we'll see you guys next episode for more Gundam at MAHQ. Take it easy and enjoy the weekend. Peace.
Yep.
私を導いてくれ、オーリス。ジオニックトヨタ。
I am an enforcer, man. Don't nothing go down in my house. It's 100% hard, baby. Sure, I jack a few fools. I give them the pain. But sometimes it's about intimidation, you know. It's mind games.
So, I'll see you later.
Check Razor! Check Razor! Get ready for the pain, woman! The pain train is coming! Wow! Wow! I got it! It's in there! Don't hurt me! Please don't hurt me!